we have a product right now that I feel is strong enough. And I think it's worth talking about, how do we know it's strong enough? So leading up to King of the Hammers, it was a Wednesday, and I got a text message from Lauren Healy about something race related. And then a photo came through, and my heart kind of sank. They had an accident, and Lauren talked about this on a podcast with Chris Corbett. Chris Corbett is, I don't know what his title is. Chris Corbett is associated with Nitto Tire and sponsor of Lauren. He started a podcast. I listened to it. It's actually really good. And Lauren talked about the accident that they had. So they had a couple vehicles on a trailer, and that trailer ended up upside down, and the vehicles ended up as a yard sale several hundred yards from the trailer. And so Lauren sends me a photo of the gray Bronco that we took to Rubicon last summer that Vaughn Gittin Jr. was driving, and it was one of the test beds for our bolt-on Bronco portal. That vehicle essentially ejected at about 70 miles an hour from the trailer and was a complete yard sale. Everything on it was basically destroyed. The rear housing was bent, I think 6 inches. It had bow to it, and he couldn't actually get the rear portals off. He had to physically cut the tubes of the housing, and the whole thing sprung, and those portals came off. The front, I don't know if he broke control arms or any of that stuff. It didn't look like it from the photo, and I didn't really press too much. So we got those portals that came back to us because we said, hey, give them back to us. Let's at least inspect them, with the intention of, let's throw them on another vehicle. So we have a set of those things that went through a 70 mile an hour rollover at, I don't know how many times the vehicle rolled, and we probably never will know, but the thing was completely destroyed. And then you see a video that Lauren posted at Sand Hollow of this year at the United by Broncos event, that he just put Rooney, the maroon Bronco, on 74 weld portals. Those are the same portals that went through that 70 mile an hour rollover, and they're now running on another vehicle. And let me be clear on this. We didn't change uprights. We didn't change boxes. We gave him a new set of rear axle shafts because the timeline was so quick. We weren't sure if the shafts were going to be bent or not because the housing was so bent. So I just sent him 2 new shafts and said, give us the old ones back and we'll check them later. And they're sitting in the corner. We haven't really even looked at them yet. But essentially, we took our product, we chucked it off a trailer at 70 miles an hour. We had the thing roll how many times, who knows. The vehicle was basically thrown away, and our product was thrown back on a new vehicle, and he went out and wheeled the thing. So it kind of validates our suspicions that we chose the right materials for the right thing. And, you know, it's unfortunate, but hey, what better way to test?
Yeah, it's a gnarly test.
Yeah. So, okay, so we'll jump back into, I guess, our future plans and where we want to see this whole product line move, which really is to forgings. And so we've already taken a couple steps internally to move towards a forged product. I know that we're going to be forging the uprights out of a 7 series alloy. I know we're going to forge the boxes out of a 6 series alloy. The reason I'm not saying 6061 is because there's lots of different options, or 7075 because, again, there's lots of different alloys in those 7 series. And we will carefully and slowly work with forging manufacturers or forging houses to pick the specific alloy for our application. But one thing that you get with a forging is You get flow of grain structure, and we'll put up a graphic on this video that shows essentially a cross section that's then polished, and you can see that it's sometimes referred to as sporadic grain structure. But what happens is the grain goes every which direction, and it flows through the part. And what you end up with is a far superior product due to the fact that anytime you're trying to reach that yield level, you have to overcome a compression of a grain in a certain direction. It essentially makes the part stronger than a piece that was just machined out of this. So
yeah, and that gets way in the weeds, talking about grain structure and dislocations and fracture mechanics.
And this is not something that we're going to do ourselves. We're going to work with a forging house in order to develop a specific process with a specific alloy. And it's also not something we're rushing, because we know right now we have a good quality product. And the only thing that people will knock us on, they're not going to say it's not good quality.
Yeah.
They're going to say, well, we'd like it at a cheaper price. Well, let's go back to what's our mission and purpose here. It's a concern of ours. It's that concern. It's number 3. So we'll get there, and the way we get there is with forgings. And the problem too is the dies around forgings take a long time to make, and they're very expensive. And I don't really care so much about the expensive portion of it. It's, if you rush things in this process, then you'll get what I call a black swan event. You don't know what you don't know until you realize that you didn't know it, and oh shit, now what do we do?
Yeah.
And so we'll move in a step-by-step process, but we're not jumping to get to forgings as fast as we possibly can.
Yeah.